All right. Okay, so folks, this is Saturday A.M. and this is our show called Pub Talk. This is a monthly series that we do where we have a chance to talk about things that are happening in the world of publishing and manga publishing and geek culture and all those things. And so we love having a chance to interact directly with our fans. And so that's what we're going to be doing tonight. And I am Frederick L. Jones, and I'm the founder and publisher of Saturday A.M. And so we're going to try to keep this, moving pretty quickly and answer some questions that we've been submitted to us at various channels of ours, and have a chance to get into hopefully a lot of stuff. I know today in particular, which is July 16th, has been, let's just say, a very interesting day. If you follow politics around the world, this has been one of the more interesting days in my life, and I am in my 40s. So unbelievable stuff we're witnessing, folks. But that being said, of course, we still have our manga, and we, of course, are all gigantic manga fans. And so again, those of you who are joining us, I want to say thank you for tuning into this episode. Our YouTube channel has been really well. And these new shows that we've been doing, which people have been asking for the last 3 years, I just want to thank you all for tuning in. We're getting such amazing comments about them. We're getting a lot of love and support for them. This includes our show Pitch Session, which the latest episode aired on Saturday night with myself and one of our artists named Jay Oden. These pub talks do very well as well. And then we have a new show on Instagram TV called Knowledge Bomb, and that has also done extremely well with some fantastic comments from our fan base. So again, I want to thank you all for supporting Saturday A.M. We truly, truly, truly appreciate it. So again, I'm your host, Frederick L. Jones. I'm the founder and publisher of Saturday A.M. And tonight we're going to be touching on a number of things that are part of what we are working on and some of the struggles that we run into at Saturday A.M. We'll also be touching on some things that have happened in the geek industry, and then of course we'll answer some of your questions. So first things first, for folks who are new, we obviously want to give a little shout about who we are. So Saturday A.M. is the world's most diverse shonen manga anthology. It's not even close. We started publication in 2013, and we feature characters and creators from all over the world. So we have creators literally from Nicaragua to Nigeria to New Zealand, from big countries like the United States of America to big countries like China, and all countries in between. And so we're really proud of the fact that we are trying to do something new in the manga space. We all love the manga style. We all have, really fallen in love with the artistic expression that is just so brilliant that's done by the Japanese with traditional manga. But we also, want to see expanded stories that feature characters from different parts of the world, stories that have new ideas, which comes from people who are from other parts of the world. So we want to see, obviously more female creators. We want to see more characters of color. We want to see more characters who have different body types. And so this has been part of the mission that we've had, and it's led to the amazing success that we've had as well. Some of our big series include Apple Black by the one and only White Manga, massively multiplayer World of Ghosts featuring art by Oscar Fong. It features Shonen Manga's first Indian lead character, Saigami, by Hungarian creator Andrea Voros. Massive multiplayer World of Ghosts, by the way, which is the big blue guy you see here in the center with the Indian kid in front of him. That is actually illustrated by the young man from New Zealand, Oscar Fong. And then, of course, Clock Striker. We have many, many titles, but Clock Striker is one of our biggest outside of Apple Black, and it features Shonen Manga's first Black female lead character. She's disabled, has a metal hand, and so this series is just really, really big for us. And so, again, we've had tremendous success in the last 4.5 years. We produce a digital bi-weekly magazine, meaning it comes out every 2 weeks. Currently, we are on issue 90. And we will soon have issue 100 by the end of the year. And also we'll have celebrated our 5th year anniversary. You don't get to that level without a whole lot of support from fans around the world. And so we are as well as amazing creators. So again, we are extremely appreciative of the support that we've gotten. So if you don't know anything about Saturday A.M., folks, find out about Saturday A.M. You can basically do that by going to our website. And of course, I will have this website shown again, but go get more info on us. We have tons of stuff on our website, including free issues and things of that nature. It's www.saturday-am.com. www.saturday-am.com. You can find tons of stuff there featuring our characters and our creators, but more importantly, you can check out our digital magazine, Saturday A.M. A couple of issues of it are free. We have a free issue section, and so there's a lot of stuff there to check out. One of the big things we're going to be talking about, of course, is Summer of Manga, which is all about helping new creatives get discovered and helping new creators get into Saturday A.M. So again, we have a ton of things to chat about this evening. We're going to start off with Anime Expo, because this is something that has been brought up quite a bit in the last few weeks. People wanted to know how come we weren't at Anime Expo, and I want to address that and then give some information on a few other things. So we started the year. We had attended a number of conventions. We went to conventions in Cleveland, Ohio. We were in conventions in Portland, Oregon. And we were most recently in a convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 3 very big cities. And we were able to take a number of our creators to those locations. Last year, we had attended a show in New York City, and we attended a show right outside of San Francisco and Santa Clara, and or right outside of San Jose. And again, we take creators from all over. So we have creators, again, all over the world. We took Andrea Voros and White Manga. This year, we've taken Morgan Walker, creator of Soul Beat, Jay Oden, creator of Hammer, just a handful of creators. I'm drawing a blank. We have so many people that go. Anime Expo is obviously the holy grail for anime fans in the United States. It is one of the biggest shows. It's not the only show, of course, but it's one of the biggest shows. Has well over 100,000 people who attend, meaning that you've got an awesome opportunity to get your brand out there to a lot of people. It is so expensive to go to these shows, folks. Obviously, Pub Talk is all about me talking as the publisher and just telling you guys about some of the things that are really difficult and the things that are really great and fun. But this is one of the parts that's not, is going to trade shows. It is really frustrating because you're basically having to pack up all your stuff, send it somewhere maybe across the country. In doing so, you have to bring a number of people there. If you're not bringing people there, we have some people who are like, well, I'll cover my own way, which is great because it helps us out financially. At the same time, we still got to have a hotel for them. We got to have accommodations for them. We have to transfer everything for the booth. It's just a really expensive endeavor. We don't do the artist alley thing. We try to have a proper presentation like a publisher, which we are. So you'll see us next to, manga publishers like, Yin, Kodansha, Viz, smaller guys, obviously, because we're not that big. But yeah, I mean, it's a really expensive endeavor. And so we certainly, it's on our bucket list of things that we want to do as we're building our company, is attend Anime Expo. And we hope to maybe do so next year. But in exchange for that, unlike other companies who maybe do go to Anime Expo, then they don't attend other shows. Again, our brand is big. It's one of the biggest brands for independent manga. And so we've been very fortunate to actually have attended a number of shows around the world. So we have attended shows all over the place. And that is a testament to our ability to kind of, have fans everywhere and to be able to reach a variety of places, as opposed to reach some of the really, really, really big shows like San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, or Anime Expo. Again, some companies can spend their money going to those, handful of shows. We're quite happy to attend a number of shows and introduce ourselves. So that is really the kind of the key thing there. It was no other reason than that. We were advised about attending by some of the folks engaged with con shows and so forth. And we looked at the list of things that we wanted to do this year, and that just didn't make the list. That being said, obviously, we know we have a lot of fans all over the country. And so what I can say is that the good news is that we are going to be attending Wizard World Chicago. So we will be at Wizard World Chicago, which will be next month. That's August 23rd until the 26th. So this is a special 4-day show. It's one of the biggest cons in that part of the country, and we are really honored to be attending that. We'll be bringing a number of our creators. Once we have the number finalized, we will let you guys know exactly who is coming. But we expect there to be a mix of creators, both from Saturday PM, which is our brand new publication, sister publication of Saturday AM, focused on more adult content, and a number of creators from Saturday AM who are producing content, obviously, for the Shonen style audience. So with that being said, we're really excited about this. If you've attended some of the shows we've been at before, you know that when we go to shows, not only do we have our books there for you to buy that you can get autographed by some of the creators, not only do we have really unique and exclusive prints that you can get, we have videos up of some of our animation that's currently happening for some of our series. We have our video game test footage up. We have a number of contests and opportunities for people to submit material to us. And so it's a really, different, fun experience. We try to make it as interactive as possible. We're very, very open to all of our fans and people who are getting into the manga craze. So again, if you're going to be in the Chicago area, please come on down, check us out. We'll be August 23rd to the 26th. As we have more information confirmed, we will reveal that to you. But this is the first time that we've officially announced that we will be at Wizard World Chicago. So with that being said, now, folks, I know we've got a handful of folks in the chat. Want to make sure. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? I just see Tizak Wave just said, how's it going? Gregor Musa says hello. Markel Scott says, how you doing, Fred? Can everyone hear me? Guys, can you shoot me a note? Because when I'm flying solo like this, I never quite know if everything's working. Great. I have the lowest tech possible, folks. That is how we make it happen at Saturday A.M. is super low tech. All right, well, good. I'm glad everyone is there. I'm glad everyone can hear me. So again, we will be at Wizard World Chicago Comic-Con. I can tell you one of the artists who will be going, and that is Morgan Walker, the creator of Soul Beat. So we're really honored that she will be joining us. If you haven't checked out Soul Beat, please check out Soul Beat. You can find out about it on our website at www.saturday-am.com/Soulbeat. That's SOULBEAT. Cool series. You guys will really dig that. Okay, so that was some initial information there. Want to once again just give a plug to one of our YouTube shows called Pitch Session. Pitch Session is really cool because Pitch Session is essentially where we have a chance to review people's pitches to Saturday AM. And I think the key thing about Pitch Session, the reason it's done so well, and folks, when I say done well, I mean, this is a 2.5-hour video. Now you guys can see that we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 or 3,500, 3,400 subscribers. And, we got a ways to go. But, when you look at what we have, though, I think one of the most interesting things about what we're doing is that with Pitch Session is that, we're able to generate nearly 1,000 views in less than a week, thanks to just people's interest in hearing us have truly critical conversations about comics creation. It's not for the weak of heart. So if you're someone who does not like criticism, you probably won't enjoy this show. But if you're someone who is serious about creativity, or at least the art of creativity, I don't mean the art physically, I mean the art in terms of the actual motivations and a mythology behind creating, anything, creating unique content, then I think this is a really fun show. We've worked really hard to have guest creators on with us. We've done a great job, I think, of being able to both be entertaining because we try to, have fun. At the same time, we get very specific on the things that we like about the content and things that we didn't like about the content. And so if you are a first-time creator, I highly recommend you check out Pitch Session. Each of the episodes are about 2.5 hours long, and they are worth it. And I know that sounds crazy because it's my show, but it really is worth it. I highly recommend you check it out. Just got another great comment on it today. The next Pitch Session will be, I believe it'll be this coming Saturday, because we've got some other things happening that we're going to talk about here in a minute. We normally try to do them every 2 weeks, but I think this episode is going to be this weekend because I'm about to explain why. So anyway, Pitch Session. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Just Google Saturday A.M. and Saturday A.M.'s YouTube channel, and you should pull right up. Otherwise, you can go to our website, which is www.saturday-am.com. www.saturday-am.com/media. Really simple, just media. And you will find the link there to go to our YouTube channel. All right. So one of the key things about the pitch session, and the reason why it is such a unique thing that we do, is because it ties into an event that we kicked off quite a while ago, and it's called Summer of Manga. Summer of Manga really began as an effort to streamline the process and to make it transparent for people who are wanting to join Saturday A.M. Now, again, we launched Saturday A.M. back in the fall of 2013. And it was really difficult because, we did it with very little money. It was myself and White Manga, Raymond Brown, a young man named Wally Wynn, and then Eric Michael Ella. And that was all we had. It was just the four of us. And we had an intern named Casey. But we worked really hard to, get those issues out and to try this idea of creating a different type of manga publication. And to our amazement, the very first issue, immediately had interest. And remember, folks, 4.5 years ago, even though it sounds simple, 4.5 years ago, there was no Instagram. 4.5 years ago, at least certainly not a popular sort of thing. DeviantArt was still king of the land, but it wasn't on mobile. And so it just goes to show you how quickly things change. We were in an uphill battle against a company called Manga Magazine, which is a big website at the time, later became Ink Blazers. It was extraordinary for us that we were able to immediately hit the gate running and have fandom and have fan base. What happened immediately after that, and when we knew we were starting to really touch a nerve, was that we started getting contacted by creators all over the world. Just think like the second issue. And they were like, hey, this is awesome. How do we join you guys? I've got a comic book on Smack G's. I've got a comic book on Tapastic. I've got a comic book on this site, yada, yada. How do I join you guys? And we just, we were too small. Like I said, it was 4 of us at that time, 5 of us at the time. And then it became 6 with Andrea Voros. But it was really difficult to manage that input. So we created a group called Pilot Manga. And the idea was to be able to have a nice conversation and a positive community around creating, content, independent manga content. The problem with it became that it's just got too big. We had at one point a couple thousand members. It was just a handful of us, and it was really difficult to manage. But to this day, there are a lot of creators that you guys see today, whether they're working for other companies or they're really popular on Instagram, who got started in Pilot Manga. I remember seeing some of these guys who have really big followings on Instagram. And I remember, oh yeah, there was that guy who was kind of good. He wasn't that good. And now I see this person, and he's better, and he's got a massive fan base. He's doing all this stuff. And there's a number of creators like that. And so, that's been a really amazing piece of it. But we had a lot of people, once we closed down Pilot Manga, who wanted us to do something similar. They missed the community and the camaraderie and the ability to discuss manga creation and things like that. So what we unveiled 2 years ago or last year was something officially called Summer of Manga. And what made this interesting was that we had Summer of Manga happening really our very first year. In our first year of the magazine, issues 11, 10, 12, 13, and so on, we debuted 4 new artists. We debuted Mikhail Dingle, the creator of Mythological Lux Nova, Beverly Toole, what was the other? Vertical Fish, who did TTX. Now, he was known at the time for doing stuff. He had some webcomics on like Smack G's and stuff like that. But still, it was the first time he had really kind of broken out a little differently. And so there are a number of creators that we unveiled that first year, finalizing with amazing young creator named Philippa Borman, who we still are in love with. She's just extraordinary. Then our second year, we did more of it. We debuted what will become one of our biggest titles, Clock Striker, and some other things. And then our third year, we officially kind of minted it as Summer of Manga with the hashtag. And we unveiled amazing creators like Morgan Walker, creator of Soul Beat, Anthony Jackson, Brat Lujani with Mutton Chop. This was kind of their second bite, but it was the first time we had something really strong from them. Tony Dawkins, the Titan King, Crunch Time by Dan Tularchevek. And so these creators are all still here. And we realized at that point that we had something really strong. In fact, one of the creators who was just completely new and very young, Jeffrey Jean-Louis, someone that I just think is extraordinarily talented young man. We not only debuted his first work, but then we subsequently now are publishing him within Saturday PM, which is our adult magazine adjacent to Saturday A.M. So Summer of Manga is a thing. We have hundreds of people trying to get into Summer of Manga. Let me explain to you what Summer of Manga is not. What Summer of Manga is not is basically your interest way into having an ongoing series in the Saturday A.M. or Saturday P.M. That's what it's not. It was created specifically to address some of the things we saw in pilot manga, which was the ability for us to be able to find people who were storytellers, not just artists, but storytellers. And if you guys have watched any videos that we've done, you know that I talk about this frequently, that one of the problems with webcomics, one of the reasons that webcomics have never quite broken through at the level of traditional comic books is that most people view it as an amateur hellhole. So you can find some amazingly talented people there. And of course, like anything that's got a lot of people in it, the exception is a really great exception as opposed to the rule. The rule is normal, and the rule is typically most webcomics don't make it. Most webcomics don't produce more than a couple of chapters. Most webcomic creators do not continue on and become a professional comic book artist. The exception to the rule is that you have the webcomic creator who maybe had a really hit series that was really popular as a webcomic and then helped them become an artist for a traditional comic book company, or they had a webcomic, and this is really rare, that became just like really, really popular and became an institution unto itself, like Homestuck or something like that. So those are exceptions to the rule. The rules are normally that webcomics, because anybody can make a webcomic, then the reality is that most webcomics are not that good. The creators are not that committed. The concepts are not that strong, and therefore nothing happens, right? It just occupies a couple of terabytes or gigabytes or megabytes probably on some website server, and it stays there unless they delete it, and that's it. It never does anything more. It's just kind of like a ghost. And so we wanted to try not to fall victim to that. Saturday A.M. has persisted as a brand because we haven't published everybody. We've published titles that we like. We've published titles that we believe in. We've published creators that we think have the ability to actually make it to the next level. And so, and that doesn't mean they have to all draw like white manga, but it means that they have to have a collection of personality and intelligence and talent and desire. They got, it's a certain mix of that they have to actually make it as a Saturday A.M. or Saturday P.M. creator, because it's not easy. And so Summer of Manga really plays on that. We're looking for short stories. We're looking for short stories. If you can't make a short story, then this is not for you. If you're coming to us because you think you've got the next greatest Naruto, Dragon Ball, or Final Fantasy knockoff, but you've never actually created a short story or any webcomic, then again, the exception to the rule is that you may be the one person who can pull it off, right? Because somebody can pull it off, right? I mean, we've got lots of creators who, again, we debut their first time. We work with them very heavily, but you know what? They got it. They've got the talent. They've got the storytelling ability. And even at their weakest, they're still light years ahead of many other people online. But the vast majority of people don't. And so this is what Summer of Manga is meant to do. So Summer of Manga is a short story event, is a publishing event only for short stories. And so the idea here is that you will be tasked with coming up with a really cool short story. You'll be tasked with trying to sell us on that short story. You'll be tasked with creating that short story on time, having it published, telling all your friends to check it out. And then if it works, if we see that you are a hard worker, if we see that you've got the right vision, if we see that you've got the right talent and ability, doesn't mean that the story has to be perfect, doesn't mean that your artwork has to be perfect. But if we see enough of the combinations working together, then you've got a chance to migrate like Dan Talarchevek, like Anthony Jackson, like Frederick Ward, like so many people who are part of Saturday A.M. right now, Jeffrey John Luis, that you have the ability potentially to migrate into a regular series with Saturday A.M. But that's what Summer of Manga essentially is. So today on our website, we actually have the information for Summer of Manga up for people who want to do it. And I just want to real quickly just show you some of the titles that we've looked at. Grimheim was a title that we published. This is from a creator from Germany, a young woman named Christina Andebach. We loved it. It was featured Joan of Arc. It's got some really strong artistic elements to it. Some of the artwork wasn't as good in some places. You can actually see all the information about Grimheim and our thoughts about it in episode 2 of Pitch Session, but this is one of the titles that we published as a short story in issue 89 of Saturday A.M. In issue 88, which kicked off our summer of manga for this year, we published The Vow, which was fantastic, really, really fun story. Shoujo. So again, this is not about trying to have action-oriented content all the time. So this was a shoujo title from Jamie de Jong, who is a young female creator out of the Netherlands. We were really taken with her talent, with her story. And this had one of the best concepts that we've seen as a pitch. And so we were really excited about it. So again, here's a title that people would look at Saturday A.M. and say, oh, you won't publish stuff like this. And yet here it is. We do publish things like this if we get the right sort of creator, the right sort of content. And we're, based on my conversation with Jamie de Jong this weekend, we're definitely hoping to be able to work with her again in the future. This last one ran in the most recent issue, which is issue 90, and it was called Tender Loving Punch. And this is from, again, another female creator. Again, we're open. We don't care. Female, male, gay, straight, black, white, doesn't matter. She's from Saudi Arabia. Great fan response to this one. First of all, I love the name, Tender Loving Punch. Great fan response. A lot of people enjoyed this. And so again, you can see with those 3 entries, and we publish more, but with those 3 entries, you can see a diversity of artistic styles, a diversity of concept, a diversity of kind of energy, right? They all have different names, they all have different aesthetics. And so, yeah, we're open. And so we've been really excited with the first 3 that we published. We've published 6 to date. We've published through issue 88 through 90. We're currently on break for Saturday A.M. We'll return the first full week of August. And at that point, we then will debut issue 91. And then issue 91, 92, and 93 will feature the remaining Summer of Manga content that we choose to publish. Now, again, if you want to get information on this, you can go here to our website. But let me talk a few things about Summer of Manga. Number one is we are not in the business of publishing stuff because you sent it in. That's just not, no one is in the business of that. No one has to do that. At any given time, you are free to say, well, I'm not going to do this unless I'm guaranteed to get published. And at any given time, we will appreciate that. But that's not our objective. Our objective is to see what you've got. And we're not, just going to publish something just because you did it. We want you to take it seriously. We want you to try to convince us you've got a good deal. And at that point, then if it works, then it goes into the magazine. At this point, we're trending about 2 Summer of Manga entries into each issue. We could do more. We could go up to 3, but we won't go over 3. And again, that depends on us getting the content on time, the content being at the standard that we want, and then being able to run with it. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not going to still try to promote creators that we were interested in, and maybe we didn't like the final execution. That doesn't mean we're still not going to try to do that. And we've got some things we're going to try to do on our website to give some creators that bit of push. But beyond that, to get into the magazine is a real testament to someone's creative abilities, their overall mentality, their overall confidence as a creator, and of course, their overall talent level. And again, if you think this is you have a very limited time. In fact, the deadline is next week. If you are a non-subscriber to Saturday A.M., the deadline is next week. So go to the website, check it out. Do not rush in your submission. Read the information on the submission form. Do not rush in your submission. If you do, I promise you, you will almost completely be denied. Read it, comprehend it, understand it, think about it, and then ask yourself, do you have something you think would work in that context? Because again, at this point, we've gotten hundreds of entries. And if you're not operating at a strong enough level, if this is something you're just like, well, I'm going to do it because it'll be something fun, that's great. And we will certainly let you know that we are not going to publish your work, but we're not going to publish your work. And I'd rather you take the opportunity to maybe sit this one out if you think that you're not there yet as an artist, if you're not there yet as a concept creator. I'd rather you, this is one of the real talk things that I do that people don't always appreciate. But folks, the other companies will tell you like, oh, what do you have to lose? Here's what I'm telling you have to lose. Right now, There's very little money in webcomics. There's very little money in these things. So it's not a question of money. I mean, because you're not generating any money, I can assure you. So at that point, then the only thing you have to lose is time. And as we see right now in the world, as I said today was a crazy day. Time is one thing that you don't mess with. Time is something you do not mess with. Make sure that something is truly, potentially significant enough for you that you would invest time. That goes for relationships. That goes for work. That goes for hobby efforts like this. That goes for playing video games. But do not ever sacrifice your time, which is so valuable, for loose ideas. If you know in your heart that right now you're at a fanboy or fangirl level, that you're only engaged with things that you want to create manga because you really like Dragon Ball, you just watched My Hero Academia and it's so cool, and man, I'd love to do something like that. That's great. But if you don't have the talent, then don't waste your time. Instead, and this is the positive part, we're doing this for you. So look at the shows, look at the episodes of Pitch Session, look at the creators that get published, look at the issues that Saturday A.M. has that has Summer of Manga titles in it. Watch them, read them, review them, and see for yourself how it's moving, how it's flowing, how these things are happening. So you're then in the position to say, okay, I think I get it. And so then next year, you'll have spent your time wisely enough by getting the sort of information that you need to next year you can attack it. You can really go for it. You'll have a year of experience. You'll have a year of understanding who we are, what we like, and what things we don't like. You'll have a year of looking at how other creators have kind of migrated and matured. And you'll have what you can never take away from somebody is their intelligence. And what I'm saying to you is get the intelligence, gain that experience, because it will serve you well, no matter what. So with that being said, again, Saturday A.M., the Summer of Manga event is happening now. The final version of it, because obviously, folks, by the time we hit issue 93, which is the last issue we'll do a Summer of Manga inside of Saturday A.M., then we will be in the fall. And at that point, it's no longer Summer of Manga, so it doesn't matter. So that's what you got to do. Now, Saturday PM, and of course, Saturday PM, I'll only talk a little bit about Saturday PM. So Saturday PM is our adult manga anthology. We've just published 2 issues. In fact, it features the brand new manga from the creator of Apple Black, one of our first creators to join Saturday A.M., and he's also now an owner of Saturday A.M., White Manga. He's got a comic called Bakassi, debuted in issue 2 of Saturday PM. And guess what, folks? Here's the thing. You are now in a position to get both issue 1 and 2 for free right now for a limited time. I'd highly recommend you go do that. Go to www.saturday-am.com/issues, and you can download issue 88, issue 89 of Saturday A.M., and then issue 1 and issue 2 of Saturday PM. You can do that right now, limited time. Now, for the first time, we are opening up Saturday PM to amateur short stories via Summer of Manga. This will appear in issue number 4, which will be in our October issue. So yes, that is outside of the realm of Summer of Manga. Why are we doing this? For one reason, because Saturday PM does not release as frequently as Saturday AM does. We are a small group. Publishing 2 magazines is a butt kicker. So we do not do both magazines simultaneously. Saturday PM is a every other month publication. Saturday AM comes out every 2 weeks. Likewise, we wanted to have for Saturday PM, we thought, okay, well, look, what's the sort of content that for a first-time creator, if you are a first-time creator, and we're going to talk a little bit about Saturday PM and what the rules are for that, because they're different than Saturday AM. But for Saturday PM, what is the overall idea that we think would make the most sense if you are a new or young creator? And we thought to ourselves, you know what makes the most sense? What makes the most sense is if we say, okay, what we're going to accept is horror stories. October, Halloween, Day of the Dead, yada, yada, yada. So we thought this makes more sense. Saturday PM is a title where, you can have more adult themes, and most people can think of something story, especially as a short story. And so we thought, you know what, this would be perfect. Now, that does not mean you have to come up with a horror title. Just like Saturday A.M. With Saturday A.M., you know, we'd like to see a sports title. For Saturday A.M., we'd like to see a thriller like Death Note or something like that. Saturday P.M., the same thing. We like to see, you know, a horror story, you know, something that could be like a harem comedy or slice of life, something that is historical fantasy. So, you know, so we're open. It could be anything. If you want to do an action title, that's fine. You want to do a crime story, that's fine. But again, here's the thing. Wanting to do it and whether or not we publish it are two different things. You can see with the look here of Saturday PM that these are exceptional artists. White Manga, Kai Link, Robert Burnens, Helena Quintanilla, I was forgetting her last name, Jack Sherwin, Jeffrey John Luis. We got some more creators who will be joining us soon for this. Some really dynamite creators joining us soon for Saturday PM. So these are top tier creators. Because the stories are mature, our view of seinen, which is the term for the sort of maturity, is we're looking more along the lines of HBO. It's not that we have a concern about violence or sexuality. It's that we care about it existing to service the story. If you're telling a mature story, then that means that as a reader, you can only really accept it if the artwork has a level of confidence and competence to it. So I'm saying this because I want to put an immediate stop to the 17-year-old, 16-year-old kid who listens to death metal and all this other stuff and thinks to himself, you know, yeah, I've got a great series. It's Dragon Ball, but bloodier. It's Bleach, but, you know, when they get cut by the swords, you know, it's not just blood. You can see the bones hanging out and stuff. It's meant to be brutal. Folks, there's so much things wrong with the world right now, but let me be the one publisher who says, please stop being that one kid who's obsessed with death, obsessed with grotesque things. Don't be that kid. Live your life. Get to learn what love is. Get to learn what real heartache is. Get to learn what real setbacks are before you try to tackle stories that are way over your level. It's not cute. It's not funny. It doesn't work. You rarely see creators who get to do that, and you just end up being the kid who's like, "Oh yeah, I drew this really bloody image," you know, and some other kid goes, "Yeah, that's cool." Any adult looks at it and goes, "This is ridiculous." So when we have this sort of stuff, when we have this sort of scenario, then this is kind of where we are. We're looking for creators for Saturday PM who are going to do Summer of Manga. We're looking for creators who are over the age of 20. That's number one. If you're under the age of 20, again, don't even think about it. We're looking for creators who are really strong artists. If you have an interesting art style, that's okay. But if you know that drawing backgrounds is not your thing, if you know that trying to, you know, that just, you know, drawing different types of characters is not your thing, if you just draw the same Naruto image over and over and over and over again because Naruto's rad, then probably don't take Saturday PM as a chance. Saturday PM is telling stories that are more mature, meaning that, you know, you're dealing with more important themes. You know, you're dealing with themes like illness and death and sickness and mental illness and, you know, people who've experienced great trauma, people who experience high levels of stress. These are things that are real things, and that's what makes great drama. Great drama is what informs great adult content, because it's not about saving the world from the snake face guy. It's about maybe having to stop someone from killing a child, or maybe trying to stop somebody from sexually assaulting somebody. When you're dealing with these types of themes, then there really is no place for people who do not understand those themes. So again, we're opening up to Saturday PM. I encourage you to read the rules, but I can assure you that if you are not of the right age, and if you are at best a pseudo skilled artist, that Saturday PM is not even going to be in the realm of possibility for you. On the flip side, Saturday AM is different because Saturday AM is, more positive. It's still really tough because we have amazingly talented creators. People like Mark Reed of Z Forever, who's on the cover of 89, and Jay Oden, who did the cover for his series Hammer on issue number 88, which, by the way, you can get both these issues for free, again, at www.saturday-am.com/issues. Just go there right now, put them in your cart, and sign appropriate information. Doesn't require a credit card, but you will have to put some information in there, and then off you go. We hope you'll subscribe to the magazine. We'll talk about that later, but nonetheless, folks, yes, and I misspelled the word issues. It wasn't me, it was the computer. I blame the computer. But regardless, though, summer of manga for Saturday AM is a little different. You can be 17. You can, be a really strong artist, hopefully. But at the same time, though, a series that is fun and positive and has really unique ideas just has to have unique ideas to really kind of excite people. If the potential is there, then that's all that matters. Now, again, that doesn't mean that we will publish it, because here's the thing. When you have hundreds of entries coming in, extraordinary creators like what I showed you earlier, Jamie DeJong, Sama from Saudi Arabia, and so on, well, then you've got so many big-time creators that if you're not at their level, and those are people trying to get to Saturday AM, well, then, you already know. You'll be on the bottom rung. But still, Saturday AM is a place where there's a bit more flexibility. So I encourage you, if you know you've got a great concept, if you know you've got a great pitch, you need to give it a try. Again, you can get information on both of these opportunities at www.saturday-am.com/summermanga18. There's no of, it's just summer manga 18. Go there, check out the entry form. Do not fill it out the minute you get there. That's foolishness. Don't do that. Take your time, wait, comprehend what's happening, check out some of the issues that we've made free for you. Think about it some more, and then sometime within the next 7 days, fill out the form. Make sure all the links that we ask you to provide are correct links. And then once you've proofread it, make sure you've got all the right information there, then you submit it. And we will get back to you before the end of July with whether or not you've been accepted. So that is Summer of Manga. That's some of the things we've got planned for Summer of Manga. Again, folks, if you're not familiar with Saturday AM, get familiar with Saturday AM, folks. We are like Shonen Jump. We feature some really extraordinary characters. We have a lot of people who want to compete with us, which is great. At some point, we hope to maybe add to that competition with some new ideas we've got planned. But for now, we're pleased with the fact that, the same way that Shonen Jump has some iconic manga characters, that, we're the only place that has, really appealing character designs and character concepts and story concepts like Clock Striker and Master Multiplayer World of Ghosts and Soul Beat, Mutton Chop, Apple Black, Bully Eater, Saigami, Titan King, and so on. We're really stoked about that. So again, if you want to step into that world, folks, it's not hard. Summer Manga is your thing. If you want to support us, please do that too. You can do that by going to our website and subscribing. It's only $5, folks. So, folks, you'll spend that money on a Happy Meal that you don't need at McDonald's, and a latte, which I don't need, at Starbucks. You'll spend more than that on those items. So take $5, subscribe to Saturday and get the best, most diverse shonen manga anthology on the planet. Just $5, 20 issues, up to 20 issues you get. So with that being said, we've got some more things to discuss, but I think we're going to take a break right now. I want to give you guys a couple of pieces of information, and then we got some more reveals later today. But I'm going to address some of the questions. I think we got a lot of questions coming up. Did anyone check out? Has anyone seen the The My Hero Academia movie. I heard it was really cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not as huge a fan of that show as I was the original Naruto and manga back then. But I am a big fan of shonen manga that tries new ideas. Hunter x Hunter probably is my last favorite shonen anime because it's one of my great shonen manga comics that I love. But I am excited to see My Hero Academia's movie. I'm curious to see what they come up with. And I know later this summer, I think, is the film for Seven Deadly Sins, which is I'm not a fan of the anime, but I do like the manga somewhat, and I'd be curious to check that out. And obviously, we have Attack on Titan coming, so it's a good time to be an anime fan. I hope you guys are supporting these things correctly, meaning that you're supporting the translated versions that are in your country that are official, so that money gets back to the mangaka. And I hope that you're watching one of the streaming services so that you can check those out. Yes, Bleach live action as well. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that too. I must admit, kind of looking forward to that as well. All right. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it back to this screen, or I'm going to put it on this screen. If you're new to Saturday A.M, folks, you too can check out our magazine. You don't have to subscribe just now. You have a chance to, because again, this free issue thing is only limited. We're not going to be doing issue 88, 89, number 1 and 2 of Saturday PM. We're not going to be doing that regularly. So you can check those out now for a limited time. But every week we update. Our website, and we take 2 older issues, meaning 2 issues from when we first started the magazine, and then 2 of our more recent issues, and they're made for free. They're available for free for people to check out. So if you guys want to check out some of the history of Saturday A.M. as we go on the road to issue 100, as we go on the pathway to issue 100, if you want to check that out, you can enjoy that opportunity. Go to our website, and you'll find it at www.saturday-am.com/free issues. Really simple, free issues. So I'm going to leave this up here right now because I want to advertise the fact that we have some free issues for our fans. In the meantime, though, I'm going to answer some of these questions because we've got a bunch of questions, and I know we need to answer them. And then I've got things that I want to discuss as well. So let me get to these things here. A lot of questions. Let me see if I can pull up all these questions. Here we go. Okay. All right. And if you've got questions here, I'll check these out as well. Okay. Let's see here. Someone asked, the Summer of Manga rules change each year? And the answer is yes. So the rules change each year. Sometimes we request a couple of pages of content. Sometimes we request, just turnarounds of the character designs and stuff so we can see that your character design is unique. Sometimes we request a couple of pages of the story. But for the most part, we want a written segment because we'd rather be convinced that your written segment showcases your ability to properly sell your series, meaning that you understand what matters. You're not giving us a bunch of needless information. You know what the story is. Number 2 is that by having it written, as well as that, we get a link to your artwork. And this is the big rule I have, is that you can't be a serious creator if you do not have an online portfolio. So if you can't, I don't want you sending attachments. No one wants you sending attachments, folks, by the way. We live in a world right now to where presidencies are being stolen by all sorts of interference via email and web hacking and so on and so forth. So no one is going to accept you sending them some zip file of your artwork. If you're in a position that you cannot put together your content on any of the number of free websites out there and then send someone the link to that website, then you got a problem. Because the publishers that are out there who are being told by their IT department, I came from the world of tech, so I know. When I set Saturday A.M. up, I knew what I was going to allow and what I wasn't going to allow. But if you're part of a bigger company, you've got a full-time information technologies agent who's working with your company, telling you what you can and can't do on the computers. And one of the things they won't do is accept some giant zip file from someone who they do not know. They won't do it. You'll go straight into the delete bin. So from that standpoint, folks, have an online portfolio. You got to have an online portfolio. So again, do the rules change each year for Summer of Manga? Yes, but it's subtle differences. The key thing, though, is that we will always have a written portion because we want to see that you can articulate your comic book in a kind of credible way. And then number two is that we want you to link us to the content that you've got. We're not interested in you sending us images for us to check out. We want to see it. And if you don't have an Instagram page that's open and public, if you don't have a Facebook fan page, a Tumblr page, if you don't have these things, then that's a red flag to us that you're not a serious artist. Next question says, can more than one entry be chosen and accepted into Saturday A.M? It'd be great to read them all if possible. So the answer is no. We don't accept more than one entry from an individual creator. And the reason for that really is simple, because we're just not interested in doing that. You know, I would rather a creator, as I said before, with time is really powerful. Time is really important to people. And I would rather you spend your time making the best work you could possibly make. I would rather you spend time making the best possible work that you could make. That's what I'd rather you do. And if you're going to do that, then you don't have time to be trying to send us 3 and 4 ideas. Folks, let me say this again. The vast majority of people with webcomics have never actually done a webcomic. The vast majority of people who have ideas for manga or webcomics or comics have never actually written anything in their life. They don't have blog posts or articles. They don't have, light novels. They don't have even amateur comic scripts. They have nothing. So as I said before about time, time is precious. Our time is precious. So don't waste our time because you want to act as if you're something that you're actually not. Don't try to send us multiple content when you don't even have one content that's any good. I'd rather you take all of your effort and make the best piece of content you can than to try to hedge your bets by giving us every half-ass thought out idea you've got, thinking that, well, one of them will work, because I can promise you it won't. If anything, it'll make the publisher or the entity that you're dealing with think less of you, because they'll think that you don't have any confidence, you don't have any talent, and you're throwing everything against the wall. And that's not the way to do this. Let's see. We got another person who says, does the short story have to just be written to be sent to you, or does it have to be as a manga? As we said again, the information is in the rule set, folks. So if you go to the web address that I gave you earlier, www.saturday-am.com/summermanga18. If you go there, you will see the rules. Once you access those rules, you will see for yourself that all the information you need is right there. And yes, there's no place for you to input artwork. So all you're doing is giving us information that we asked for. And that's the key thing to make sure of, that you're giving us the information that we asked for, and that you're giving us appropriate links to see the artwork that you've got on display. Make sure that if you're linking us to an Instagram page, that the Instagram page is public, not private. We're not going to request to be your friend or follower just to see your artwork. Next question is, how does the deadlines work for serialized artists on Saturday A.M? So these are two different. So this is one question. I want to address it with two different scenarios, because obviously we're talking about Summer of Manga. So the first thing, and yes, Hayama Studios, you can ask a question here. I'm going to get to all these questions in the chat in a minute. So the first thing is, how is if you're a serialized creator, basically, we work with you to find the most appropriate strategy for your title to come out within the magazine. We have some creators who are, half a year. We have some creators literally half a year. I mean, that's not our ideal, but these are creators that we believe in a great deal, and we've invested a lot of time in them. And so we're prepared to wait. They have circumstances that prevent them from producing content regularly. On the other hand, we typically like for creators to at least appear once a quarter. Most of our series, though, will have extended engagement. So they'll run for, 5-10 issues consistently. It might be like every other issue or something like that, but they'll run pretty consistently, and then they'll stop for maybe a month or two, and then they'll come back. So we have a couple of series like Titan King. Titan King, you can almost always count on. It'll hit a couple of issues back to back to back, then it'll stop, it'll take a break, and then it'll come back. Clock Striker is currently on a hiatus. We're finalizing that to come back, and that's going to have an extended engagement so that we can complete volume 1. Mass Multiplayer World of Ghost, we've had a stop-start relationship with that property, but that property is coming back very strong. It debuts again in issue 91, and it will run, I think, till the end of the year, and then we'll take a break on that one. So again, it just depends. If you're a serialized creator, we work with you to make the best scenario based on what we know of you and we know of your talent, your circumstances, and what we know of the comic. But obviously, again, the only way you're going to build a fan base like a Clock Striker or Apple Black, and some of the titles like that, is to be consistent. If you're in the issues pretty frequently, then you will get a fan base. If you're not, you won't. It's that simple. You won't get one as fast. Let's see here. So now, if you are a Summer of Manga creator, and so then what's going to happen, like I said, is you've got a week. People who are interested in Summer of Manga today, they have a week to get us their initial proposal, initial pitch. If we like the pitch, we will request more information. And if we like what we see from that point, then we will say, okay, you have this date to get us 5 pages, 10 pages, 15 pages, 20 pages. That's going to be it. No one will get over 20 pages. So we will give you a set amount of pages and a time frame to get us those pages so that you can be published in the issue, because otherwise you won't make it in the issue. So that's the idea for Summer of Manga. You've got to be able to operate at that scale. Let's see here. So we've got a question here about, and this is some of the questions I see here on the bottom. So there we go. So anyways, let's see, how do I publish manga to your company? And I know people have asked that question here in the live chat. So I'm going to get to these questions in the live chat. I think right now I'm going to do it for maybe 10 minutes at best. I'm going to stop, go back and talk about some more information we want to share with you guys. We've got some more announcements to make. Then we'll come back, finish up with live chat, and go from there, because I think that's all the questions that I saw on Instagram. So give me a second here. Make sure that's correct. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. So we've got Aaron Edwards says, do we have a monthly publication for Saturday A.M.? And the answer is no, we do not. So Boniface Onyekaba is doing what we see often on the internet, where someone says something that is totally untrue. No, we do not have a monthly publication. Saturday A.M. is bi-weekly, and then Saturday P.M. is every other month. It's bi-monthly. We've got plans to do all sorts of stuff in the future as we continue to grow. But as of right now, we only have a bi-weekly magazine and a bi-monthly magazine. So Aaron is asking, can you release content on a monthly basis? And the answer is again, as I indicated a few minutes ago, we work with the creators to find out what the best strategy is. Some creators like to be in as many issues as possible, like the guys behind Mutton Chop, J.O. and the Hammer. They're very prolific. They can create content pretty quickly. Other creators aren't. So it just depends on what makes the most sense for you. And we also have other concerns we have to look at. We try to look at a balance issue. So we don't want to burn out any fan on particular creators or a particular series. So we try to navigate that landscape. The Ink Slicer says, what can you say is the worst business practices you've seen in terms of how to market webcomics? I mean, there's lots, but I don't know if we have. At some point, probably I should probably do a whole episode about this. But I think there's a lot. I think the biggest problem with webcomics to date has been that I think the marketing is pretty bad. I think that again, I'm not going to name names, obviously. So I think one of the reasons Saturday A.M. has been successful is because Saturday A.M. has a name, it has a brand, it has a logo that people can respond to, appreciate, and then it naturally creates a relationship. I think a lot of other people in this space don't. They may get press, or they may go to a lot of conventions, or they may have thousands of creators on their websites. But at the end of the day, if you had Saturday A.M. on your iPad or your tablet or your phone, one of our issues, digital magazine, and you took it to a relative and you said, hey, guess what? I just got chosen to be in Saturday A.M. and you showed them Saturday A.M. They will understand it. They will appreciate it. There will be 9 times out of 10 a connection that they can appreciate because they know the term, they get the general idea, and so it'll make sense. If you tell them any of the other companies that are out there, some of the websites, some of the companies who are trying to be like us, they won't. They won't know the name. The name won't make sense to them. They won't connect because you won't be able to show them something pretty easily. You'll show them just kind of flat webcomic pages on a website or in an app that they do or they may or may not really appreciate or understand. And so it'll just look like, it'll look like anybody can do it. And it can, because that's the whole point of some of the other sites. So I think the marketing is pretty bad in these spaces. I think that the content for me is not the best. I'm not, we literally created Saturday A.M. because we couldn't find the content position that we were looking for massively multiplayer World of Ghosts. And then when we discovered, White Manga and Raymond Brown and some other people, we realized that with all these great creators, you would have to create a vehicle that gave them a chance to have that sort of connection that they were not quite getting on these other websites. And so that was it. So I think there's a lot of things that happen in webcomics. I think a lot of it, but there's no question that one of the biggest challenges with it is that at the end of the day, because it is open to everybody, you get everybody. And when you get everybody, as I've said before, the internet is like your house, and or your profile page is like your house. And so, imagine in your neighborhood, you're throwing a house party and you open the door and say, hey, everybody in my neighborhood, come visit. And most people in your neighborhood, Bob down the street, Tyrone and his wife up the road, people in your neighborhood. You say, come to my house. Come to my house. I have chips and dips. I got some videos playing on the flat screen TV. I got sodas in the kitchen. I got the little tub pool in the back. Just everybody come in here, have a good time. If you're in the neighborhood, you're welcome. The internet is that guy or girl who doesn't live in your neighborhood. They don't give a damn about you. They just see everybody else going into your house. So they come in there. They don't care about what you got on the TV. They don't like your furniture. They don't like the people who you've invited into your home. They don't care. That's what the internet's like. And to me, when your business model is like everybody's welcome, there are two things happening. I think Tim Cook from Apple said this best. Folks, when you have free, when you're getting things for free, when you're being asked to register and do these things to get stuff for free, then what you're getting for free is not the product. You're the product. They're using you to make money. And that is one of the more powerful and profound things about, I think, webcomics and just this internet culture, and young people in particular who've grown up with the internet. This is kind of one of the kind of sad parts about all of it, is that a lot of you guys are just product. So, when you're making a comic book, some of these websites don't care that you make a crappy comic book. And a lot of you are making crappy comic books. That's just the numbers. They don't care, right? They'll gladly take your crappy comic book. Why? Because they know that when they go to Apple, when they go to Pepsi, when they go to Doritos and say, hey, advertise with us, we got millions of page views per day. We have so many thousands of pages being created every single day. They know that it doesn't matter how crappy your comic book is. The person who accidentally clicks on your comic book and goes, man, this shit sucks. That person is an eyeball, and that eyeball is a $sign to the advertisers who they're going to getting big money to advertise on their websites, because a lot of you guys are giving them free content that's not very good. People aren't checking out your comic. They just going through the website, and and that's all they hope for, right? Most of the comics there, I don't know many people who are like, oh man, my life is based on every new episode of this webcomic that comes out on this website. I don't really know anybody who thinks like that. I know people who still swear by Marvel, still swear by DC, who love Saga from Image, but I don't really know anyone, and I'm sure they exist. I'm not saying they don't, but I don't know anyone who's having that much devotion to a website that has webcomics. So again, that's the challenge with it, is that I think the market of webcomics is conflicted in so many ways because I don't think the brands are very good. I don't think the marketing of the content's very good. I don't think the content's great. And I think that it's kind of a weird system. And all of those things conspire to create people who are not really fans. They may end up there. They may click a couple of pages throughout the website. But when you've got the millions, because by the way, see some of these sites, the big sites, the big guns, you guys know who the big guns are. The big website, the webcomic websites from Korea, things like that. You know, they blow us out of the water. I mean, they destroy us in so many ways. But at the end of the day, like I don't know, like I couldn't tell my parents I produce content for that and have that mean anything. I couldn't. I don't know. It wouldn't mean anything to my parents. But my parents get Saturday A.M. The young people who work for Saturday A.M., their parents get Saturday A.M. Even if they don't like the fact their kid draws comics, they understand what Saturday A.M. is once it's explained to them, once they see it. So I think branding is the toughest part about it. And so to that end, actually, you know, that's actually raises a great point, folks. We do have this really neat thing that you can do, which is, of course, I'm not going to find it now. Isn't that something, folks? Man, y'all lucked out. You got, no, maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't luck out. You didn't luck out, folks. You didn't luck out. Because today, and based off what I just told you, you're going to now learn the great lesson of advertising inside of Saturday A.M. You can advertise inside of Saturday A.M., folks. That's how you get into the magazine. That's how you get into the magazine, folks. Advertise with Saturday A.M. We have ads starting at $10. So if you think that, you know what, I don't want to go through the process of Summer of Manga, I don't think that's for me. You know, I don't want someone telling me this or telling me that. I just want to create my comic. I want to create my 90-volume epic comic. That's fine. Then if you believe in it that much, then advertise. Get into Saturday A.M. where we have people who actually help fund our operations because they support financially independent creators like yourselves. Unlike some of the other websites and webcomic places, they do it for Saturday A.M. They've been doing it since 2013. So what about subscribe? You know, do it with us. $10. Cheapest ad you can get. You're guaranteed to get some hits for sure. You're going to be seen by people who are real people, real support of the comic book creation. And then, you know, you can go higher and get a much bigger ad. And the best part is just like web advertising is that once you pay for the ad stays until someone outbids you. So that means you might be in multiple issues. That's a huge value, folks. Huge values. You might be in an issue that's got Zero, King of Thieves, which is a great new comic for us from China. You may appear in issue number 90 with that. And then by, you know, if no one's outbid you, you might be in several issues up until the time that Apple Black returns. And Apple Black, of course, is huge, or Clock Striker, or so on and so forth. So advertise, folks. If you want to be seen and be taken seriously, then don't do what I just talked about, which is that most marketing and advertising is horrible for webcomics. Break that mold. Advertise. Saturday A.M. can be your place for advertising. All right. Let's see. Last question here. I do want to see the Bleach live action movie. I think most of the Japanese live action movies for their manga sucks, but I feel like with Bleach, they have really tried hard to attack the Marvel method. You know, I've said before, I'm like, you know, I mean, I'm an American. You know, I love manga. I've been to Japan. I'm not a fanboy or fangirl. I created Saturday A.M. to compete with some of the Japanese manga and so forth. And so, you know, to me, it's like, you know, I'm always fascinated when I see young kids who are enthralled by anime manga and their worldview becomes anime manga, which is dangerous because anime manga is not very diverse. They don't always have the best representation of women. So it's dangerous for you to be that much in love with anime manga because it warps your view. But at the same time, though, folks, good Lord, you cannot be living in a bubble to where you would say, oh, I'd much rather see a Naruto movie than a Spider-Man, Captain America, Thor movie. Those movies are killing it around the world. And so far, no anime movie turned live action has been able to do that. And I think there's several reasons for that, diversity being a big part of it. But at the end of the day, I feel like this one, they're trying to get it right. Gintama seemed to have gotten it right in Japan, although it hasn't come out in the East yet. But Bleach appears to be, they're trying hard to make it happen. And so I'm curious. I can't wait to see it, but we'll see if it's any good. All right. So I know there's more questions. I'll get to those, but I got to get back to the stuff we got to talk about here. And I promise we'll get to these questions and wrap everything up here before midnight. So let's see here. The next thing I want to chat with you guys about, as I said before, folks, we have a a show on Instagram TV. So if you follow us on Instagram TV, please do. It's called Knowledge Bomb. And basically, it's where I provide small nuggets. Each episode is about maybe 10 minutes long. And I provide small nuggets of information to kind of help you navigate the internet. So things about how you can market yourself better, things about how you can produce better content, things about how you can do other aspects of creativity, making your comic stand out, dealing with critique, dealing with butt heads on the internet, which we all do. I deal with it all the time for Saturday A.M. You know, I think our second episode on it was about harassment and what that feels like and how to handle it. So Knowledge Bomb is great. I highly recommend you guys check it out. I got a lovely note before we started the show, like literally right before we started the show. I was checking Instagram and I got a lovely note from a young person who said that, you know, that they really appreciated how heartfelt the stuff was in the Knowledge Bomb, because it feels like, you know, they were getting information that they've been wanting to hear it, but they just hadn't, you know, no one had really talked to them like that before. So it was really cool. And I'm happy that we're having that impact. So check out Knowledge Bomb. You can find it on Instagram TV. Our handle for Saturday A.M. You can Google, you can search it on Instagram, of course, but it's at Saturday_AM, and you can check out the content there. Likewise with Saturday PM, folks, we have, you know, Saturday PM is much like Weekly Young Jump. So if you follow Seinen magazine in Japan, you know that one of the things that they do is not only have more adult style manga, but they also have beautiful women, and we do not disappoint in that area. We have featured in our first two issues, we featured pictorials and interviews with some really, really smart, creative, intelligent, and very attractive young women in the cosplay space. We're going to keep going with this. So if you are a cosplayer who's looking to get some more exposure, then please contact us. You can drop us a note at info@saturday-am.com. You haven't got to attach anything. Just tell us who you are, tell us how old you are. Obviously, we don't work with anyone who's under the age of 18, but tell us, you know, what your situation is, and then give us a link to your Instagram profile. And we would love to, you know, build up more creators. Our first cosplay creator was a young woman named Lorna Ciani from Italy. Really, really fantastic. And this right here is Lady Nikoru, I think she's out of Florida. Super talented, does some amazing cosplays, and is just a really smart, interesting, intelligent young woman. So again, if you are a cosplay creator, folks, do not hesitate. Get us your information. And yes, we've received notes about, well, you know, I'm a guy. Can I do it if I'm a guy? And look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Saturday PM trends towards men. You know, a lot of the content is for men. At some point, obviously, we hope to address that as it relates to women, but as of right now, you know, it does trend towards men. That's what seinen means. So I can't say we would ever say no to having men in there, but, you know, for the time being, we feel like we have a lot of things to talk about as it relates to female cosplayers. One of the first was, of course, being, and what we hope to get in the next issue or two, is young women of color who cosplay and some of the challenges they face cosplaying characters that traditionally, you know, are not created to look like them, even though, you know, they are, you know, supporters and fans of the material like all of us. You know, we think it's a really important article to have, and we're hoping to be able to do that in an upcoming issue. This you see on screen right now is Lorna Ciani from Italy, and we were really proud to have had her in an issue. Next up, we want to chat about Kickstarter. Now, folks, we're going to be doing a Kickstarter soon. And we are really excited about this because we tried to do a Kickstarter a couple of years ago, and it was not very successful. It was our first year, as a matter of fact. So our first year, even though we had a lot of success with Saturday A.M., we had amazing creators like Mikhail Dingle and Vertical Fish and Philippa Borman, just really rock solid people. We just, you know, we added people like Andrea Voros to the magazine. You know, it was our first year. It was too soon, and so it didn't quite fly. We now, of course, have been 4.5 years. We have over 90 issues. We have 6 graphic novels that we've produced. A 7th one is on the way. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we've got amazing creators, literally from, as I said before, Nicaragua and Nigeria, United States to China, New Zealand, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, and everywhere in between. we are really, really excited about this Kickstarter. Now, I'm not going to reveal what it's going to be for today, but I will say that this is kind of the next tier for Saturday A.M. This is the next element for Saturday A.M. to take what we've built, to take this brand that's so popular and exciting right now for a lot of our fans, to take this forward, to take this wider. And so I hope you guys will go along with us on this ride. We really could use your support. We're going to have a lot of cool prizes as well. I think the things that you will see in it are going to be really exciting also. So please do check us out. I will just give you the briefest of hints, even though it's not really even the full hint. I'll give you the briefest of hints as to what we're working on here. And then from there, we will move on. So please, folks, Kickstarter, news will be coming on it very soon, and you'll have a chance to check it out. Okay, so next up, since we are talking about what we got on the horizon, well, one of the things we have on the horizon is the Saturday Tank for Mutton Chop. Now, Mutton Chop is one of our funny animal fun series. If you love One Punch Man, you'll love Mutton Chop. It's really cool. This is going to debut in the next few weeks. You'll have a chance to buy this book. It is fantastic. It is lovingly illustrated by Anthony Jackson and created by both Anthony Jackson and Bharat Lujani. If you've not seen the animation for Mutton Chop, then please do so. Go to our YouTube channel and check it out. We even have some links for it on our website. You'll see a link that says watch the Mutton Chop anime. Please go check out this anime. It is so good, and it captures exactly what this character series is. This series has done really well for us, and these are two amazing young creators that are really worth your time. So please check out Mutton Chop Volume 1. Support it. It'll be available on Amazon in a couple of weeks. It'll be available on our website. You'll also be able to get it on your Kindle. Please don't pass this up. We're really excited about this. It joins Apple Black, Bully Eater, Z Forever, and Saigami as the previous volumes of manga that we currently have produced. And of course, we've got more on the horizon. Speaking of on the horizon, obviously we began our countdown to issue 100, and folks, it is going to be pretty big. So I can tell you that first up is massively multiplayer World of Ghosts. And of course, it's going to feature these extraordinarily talented, these extraordinary artists of Oscar Fong out of New Zealand. If you haven't heard of Massive Multiplayer World of Ghosts, the basic concept is kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, except a little deadlier and a little cooler. Features an Indian American lead character. He's able to summon these really kick-ass video game characters, and he does battle. This is a awesome series. I've been wanting to have this thing happen the right way for years, and it's finally with the right artists. We're really excited about it. So, folks, get stoked about this. It debuts in issue 91. And then right on the heels of that, we hope to be able to bring back Clock Striker, Shonen Manga's first Black female lead character. She's a young girl who wants to be a smith. So if you think about smiths, that's short for blacksmith. In her world, kind of like Naruto's world with ninja, blacksmiths are everything. They're smart. They're athletic. They help people. They kick ass. But the problem, of course, is that much like engineers in our world, they're not typically people of color, certainly not Latino or African American, or not as much, and they're not young girls. Men tend to be more engineers. Cast is her name. She wants to change that, and she finally gets on with a smith who's willing to work with her. It's the only female smith currently in existence with the Royal Order of Smiths, and she's a badass. And Cass is lucky to work for her, which is why she is the Clock Striker, because the striker is the name they give for apprentice. And her teacher is going to be a lady named Philomena Clock. So really fun series, action-packed, great art. I think you'll really dig this. We have the first pilot chapter on the website now. You can see it, but worth checking out, folks. I highly recommend you check it out. All right, and so with that being said, I think we're about done here. I'm going to pop one thing on here before we answer your questions again, and that is, of course, Bakasi, White Manga's brand new manga. You haven't seen a manga from White Manga since he did Apple Black, but he's created a new one. It's seinen, meaning that it's adult oriented, and it is available only in Saturday PM. So if you want to check out Bakasi, please do so. You can find it for free. The first installment for free. The second installment won't be for free, folks. So better get it now while you can. On our website at www.saturday-am.com/issues. You can get Saturday AM issue number 88, 89, Saturday PM issue number 1 and 2 for free for a very limited time. Folks, if you don't do it now, I can almost assure you this time next week it will be gone. All right. So that's it. I'll finish up with a few more words about Summer of Manga. But of course, again, please prepare for our Kickstarter, folks. We're really excited about it, and it's going to really blow you guys away. We need your support. You support us all this time. Please support us with that as well. All right. So with that being said, let's get back to some of these last questions. I'm going to fire through these. Let's see here. Doodles with Chase, who had a couple of messages redacted for some reason, says, how can I get on with Saturday AM? And so we've already obviously talked about this before. We're not a club. You can't get on with us. You know, we're not a club. If you are an existing creator, you've got a webcomic, your stuff is out there, seen, and we are admirers of it, then if you're interested in working with us, then we can talk. And chances are, if you like us and we like you, then you'll be able to walk in. Jay Oden, who created Hammer, kind of walked right on in. I mean, he's talented. He had known about us. He talked to us, and we love Jay. Jay fit our personality to a T, and so Jay hit the ground running and hasn't looked back, and we haven't looked back. We've been so excited and so much better by having Jay Oden as part of Saturday AM. If you've got a webcomic that is reasonably popular, and you've got a really good ethos, you're creating content, you're updating stuff every couple of weeks, then you can contact us pretty easily about getting to the magazine. It's not that hard. It doesn't mean you will, but at least we certainly will talk to you. If you've never done this before, then Summer of Manga is your best bet. And at that point, then it's not a question of how can you get on. It's just a question of, can you tell a good short story? If that's your mentality, I mean, if you've got your mentality right, then that's what you're focused on. If your mentality is based on the fact that, hey, I like manga, I just discovered Saturday AM. In fact, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you don't subscribe to us, then it is rare that you would get into Saturday AM or Saturday PM. And the reason for that is that because it is unbelievable to me that you could discover us, decide to write us, because I think it takes a lot of balls. Hey, how do I join you guys? As if we are just open like that. Maybe you do that to Marvel, but Marvel's just so big they don't see your email. But it just strikes me as kind of odd. I don't just do that. I don't see people. I don't see a car I like and just say, hey, how do I get this? I don't see a woman I want to date, just say, hey, how do I date you? Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but that to me is very odd sort of question. We've been at this for a long time, and we're not a club. This is not because you're interested, then you just come along. We're looking for serious creators. So if you're serious, then you've already got content. You can say, hey, I've got this really cool webcomic. Would you guys, willing to check it out? I've been doing it for a couple of years. And, then maybe we do that. Or you write us on Instagram. We can see your profile. We say, oh, man, this person's really talented. Then we still will talk. It won't be just a come right on in. We still will talk. But that's a much more feasible way. If you've never done this, then that should not be your first question. Summer of Manga is the opportunity for you. And like I said, you've got a week at this point now. Summer of Manga began a couple of months ago. Again, if you're not a subscriber, then little things like this you miss. Subscribers have had all summer long to prepare for this. Non-subscribers are down now to 1 week. So it makes very little sense to me how people want to get into Saturday and never actually subscribed or read what we do, because it doesn't make sense. That's not the worldview that I have. But that's your answer. Raquel Scott says, what is the end goal you want for Saturday AM, Saturday PM? End goal is to be successful. I mean, we want to, I want our creators who've put their faith in the company and put their faith in me. I want them to be successful. I want them to have been able to take care of their family, take care of their friends. I want them to be able to have done those things without any sort of issues. I want them to just be able to, have a very successful experience, and that can only happen with a lot of hard work, and that's not going to happen overnight. So, like I said, we again, I've said this before, but like, we've got people who have come after us, and they're like, well, we're trying to work on anime. I don't understand how people do stuff like that. Again, because I came from corporate America. I came from the video game industry. I came from having worked on some of these projects and some of these things I created that people actually, or worked on that people actually, that are trying to compete with us today, were actually my customers 20 years ago, 10 years ago. For me, it's hard to understand the idea of running before you walk, walking before you crawl. We started the company with very little money. We had a game plan. We have a very ambitious game plan, but we've taken it deliberately, piece by piece, week after week, issue after issue, year after year. That's why we're at issue 90. There are people who, are trying to compete with us who haven't even come out with issue 2. So again, I'll say again that, there's got to be a level of focus. And our end game is quite vast, but we're nowhere near it because we still have a long way to go. Hayama Studio says, for the Instagram port, I use Twitter. Should I just insert the link to the Twitter account? Yeah, if you've got artwork on Twitter, then post that. Let me say this, though. It's a great question about Summer of Manga, and you're trying to get, we say, hey, where can we find your artwork? And you give us a Twitter account. Let me say this right now. If you don't have an Instagram, and you don't have a Tumblr, and you don't have a Facebook, if you don't have any of those things, and what you have is a Twitter, that's fine. But again, here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to go hunting to find your artwork. As I said a few minutes ago, we are not going to somehow try to get you we're not going to try to become your friend to view your artwork on Instagram. If you don't have your artwork made public so that anybody who knows your Instagram address can see your artwork, if you are someone who doesn't do that, and we've had a number of people do this, well, they're like, yeah, I really want to join you guys. You gotta friend me for me to see my artwork. No, the hell we don't. That's ridiculous. I mean, that you're coming to us and we're not coming to you. That is the most arrogant BS I've ever heard in my life. I'm not hunting for your artwork, and you want us to publish you. And so, same thing with Twitter. If you have a Twitter account where you responded to 15 people just yesterday about something that was a hashtag, and then somewhere 2 days ago we got to find your artwork after 50 posts, that I can tell you right now, that's not going to fly. So, my recommendation, if you're going to do this, is to create an Instagram profile. Upload all the artwork, your best artwork, upload it there and be done with it. And then put that address on there. Because, folks, I'm telling you now, these are sort of things that kill so many young people trying to get into comic books is not understanding how to professionally navigate this minefield. No one is hunting for your artwork. You either have it freely available to check out or you don't. Let's see here. Emmett Barnes says, if you're allowed to discuss, how do payments work for serialized creators? Like, what is their pay based off of? So we don't discuss this for a number of reasons. One, because every creator is different. Two, because it is based on a variety of things like that. So you're right. There are things like page rates, or there are things like equity, or there are things like rev share, or there are things like book sales and royalty payments. So at the end of the day, it's different. What I can tell you is that some real manga creators don't get paid anything. These are creators that are not our creators that are under the contract with us. They're trying to show us their work. So no Summer Manga creator gets paid like that. The second thing I'll say is that, because we get this question occasionally, is that if anyone is under the impression that webcomics are paying big money, then you need to stop already. If the impression that you have is that you are going to make big money on webcomics, then stop, go get a job at UPS or somewhere else, because you're living in a fantasy world. Again, the vast majority of people right now with Saturday A.M. who are big fans of ours and want to join us don't even pay for Saturday A.M. Number two is that the vast majority of you all watching this podcast right now, watching this YouTube video, don't pay for the comic you read. You're going on one of those scanlation sites and getting the latest installment of this or that and so on and so forth. And, let's not kid ourselves. That's what you're doing. So like I said, we get this question a lot. All the companies get this question a lot, and we've also seen the companies that are quite hilarious because they lie their asses off. Oh, you're going to get paid $50 a page. No, you're not. No, you're not, folks. Not at all. Folks, I'll say this again. Webcomics are in an interesting place. A lot of stuff that we don't like about it, and so what we're trying to do is change it. The only way it's going to change is for us to do at least what we believe is doing it the way we're doing it. Creating a magazine, creating content that's exclusive to the magazine, having fans have to pay for the magazine, give away some free installments, free issues here and there like we're doing right now. But try to build up the excitement based off the number of characters that we have, the cool character designs, the cool creators, the cool artwork, the cool stories, the cool brand that we've got established. That's what we're trying to do. Beyond that, it's a catch-22 because you're talking about a young group of fans who, number one, don't want to be customers. They don't want to be customers because they all think that they can create the next Apple Black. Whether or not they even can draw close to as good as white manga, if you talk to the average person, they want to create, who reads a webcomic, they read it just because they want to do it. So that's one of the challenges with this space right now. And what's fascinating to me about it is that, again, this is real talk. I'm talking to you guys very real. That's why it's called Pup Talk. But you won't hear what I'm telling you from other people. And the reason for that, I'll say what they said the other day. The reason for that is for two reasons. One, because the big publishers are not talking to you. You are not their customer. They're not engaged with you, right? Their customer is Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million, Amazon. They're not thinking about you. And that's fine. I mean, to be frank, we want to get to that point. We want to talk to you. We want to be thinking about you. But at the end of the day, they're making money. Bigger money than we're making. Yes, they've got bigger properties, but they're doing it because they've got customers who are paying cash money. Webcomics, the majority of people who read them are not paying cash money. They're not paying zero. They're not paying zippity. So I'll say again, the question is there. I'm one of the few people who will tell it to you straight and say, if you think you're going to make a lot of money doing webcomics, then you already are mistaken. You shouldn't do it if you think that. If you've got to make money doing webcomics, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't know what to tell you because there are certain things that have done well, porn comics, LGBT comics. But if you're thinking that, you're going to create the next Naruto and you're not an artist that is up there with Kishimoto or white manga or some of our creators, and the concept's not that original, not that unique, and people don't know how to find your webcomic, I don't know what to tell you. Don't do this because you think you're going to make money. Do this because you think you're going to have a career. And those are two entirely different things. Do this because you think you can have a career at this. You think you can get good enough at this to have a career. That's why you do webcomics. And then you do it diligently. You do it successfully. I mean, you do it in a capacity where you can get better and better consistently. And the rule of thumb, by the way, folks, the rule of thumb, I've said this before, and this is by lots of people, Ty Klein, some other webcomic creators who've generated success off of, by the way, off of doing LGBT or porn comics. Not that those two things are tied, but just, those are two things that tend to do very well on things like Kickstarter. But, and I'm all about it. Hey, great for both of those. But the point here is that only people of that ilk have really had success. And when you hear them talk, they will all say roughly the same thing. You will need to do a webcomic for 10 years consistently, not taking tremendous vacations, not taking a lot of breaks, to get enough fans who followed you enough, who know that you're consistent enough, who know that you believe in what you're doing enough, who know that you're talented enough or have become talented enough to then give you $5 a month. $5 a month from 1,000 people, which will take 10 years to generate per the average convention of wisdom by the people that I'm talking about. The convention of wisdom is that it will take you 10 years of consistent work to build up 1,000 fans who are willing to give you $5 a month. That $5 a month is $60,000 a year. You ask yourself if you're going to live off $6,000 a year. You in your mind, you're thinking, well, I'll take $6,000 today. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's going to take you 10 years to get to that. Now, if that works, if you're prepared for that struggle, then welcome aboard. But if you're under the mentality that, you know, hey, my art deserves better than this, I'm not arguing that it doesn't, but I'm also not one of these people trying to deceive you into thinking something, one of these rah-rah all creators get paid type of thing. Because folks, that's not the real world. That's not the real world. I love the people who try to convince young people that, oh no, your artwork, that's not the real world. If you are Jim Lee and you can command people paying you lots of money, then you're Jim Lee. If you're not Jim Lee, or you're not working on comic books as popular as The Walking Dead, then you got problems, because it's not going to happen like that. It's not going to be a finger snap and, you know, oh, I'm just going to be recognized for my awesomeness. You'll pick up something here and there and here and there, but in terms of a webcomic that may or may not be generating interest, revenue, success for you, much less for someone who would be hosting your webcomic or paying for your webcomic, then that's the reality. It reminds me of the conversation where people say, well, I've got an awesome epic. I don't want to do a short story. I want Saturday to publish my epic. It's gonna be a 10-volume masterpiece. Mind you, they've never created a webcomic before. Mind you, they've never made money at this before. So whatever investment they're looking at from us, they can't guarantee that we'll get that back. But more to the point, they also are living in a fantasy world, again, brought about by people who don't talk truthfully to you guys. How are you going to have 18, 10, 2, 3 volumes of a series when you can't even make the first volume? And if the first volume doesn't sell, then who in the hell is going to go for you to have a second or third volume? That's why I say again, folks, do this because you're prepared for the long work, and do it therefore then because you're prepared to have a career. And you're prepared for all the sacrifices and all stuff that's going to come into trying to have a career. You know it's not going to happen immediately. You know it's going to take a great deal of effort, sacrifice, financial sacrifice on your part, but you're prepared to do it. Let's say that you're the lucky one and it doesn't take you 10 years, it take you 5 years. That's great, but it's still going to take you a number of years. I can promise you that. And anyone who's going to goose your opportunities to make that happen by funding you, then they're going to give you less time because they've got to make money back. So that's the realest talk you'll probably hear tonight. But this is not, that's why I say this is for serious creators. This is not a game. No one goes into webcomics. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. A lot of people go into webcomics thinking it's going to be some fantasy land. We've had creators who were awesome at Saturday A.M. who decided to go a different route and do a Patreon, and they made nothing. And these are creators who might have 30,000 people following them on Instagram, and they made nothing. They got, because guess what? The same sort of person that you are the fans that you think that you can sell to, and they don't spend money. They rarely spend money. Let's see. Next up, we have, do we plan on having an anime? Of course we do. Of course we do. We expect to have an anime, and we've got things that are working on that front, and we will reveal those when the time is right. But I'll say this, as I said earlier, you know, we didn't do this to make an anime. We did this to make a comic book publisher that could compete, a comic book publisher that published diverse manga because we felt that was a need, a comic book publisher that gives opportunity and chances to creators who normally would get ignored. That's what we're about. We want to be the best at that. And if we play our cards right and we move very deliberately and very slowly, we will build a company that can rival the biggest manga companies in the world. But to do that means we have to be good at what we're doing first. When you see people trying to jump the gun and say they got an anime, I have to question how easy they think that is. And I'm sure, you know, there's smoke and mirrors, you know, also stuff, you know, SEO and, you know, hanging off of certain things. They can say, oh, well, I'm connected to this, I'm connected to that. And so this is, you know, you can talk about that in a publicity documentation, and that's how people will want to check out my anime. But the reality is that's not the reality. You know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could have some bullshit idea and go into Netflix and get an anime made. But the average person, I don't care what your affiliation is, what little thing you've got that stands out, if you don't have a history of success, just like the question we got about a few minutes ago about money, no one's going to fund Saturday A.M.'s animation until they know that we sell. And fortunately for us, we sell. We have history of success in that regard. We have fans around the world. So from that standpoint, we can have those conversations. We haven't got to spend tens of thousands of dollars to make a promo video saying, hey, we're going to have an anime. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, I might add. We haven't got to do that. We have companies that see who we are, hear what people think about us, know that we got some of the best creators out there, know that our mission is about diversity and that we stick to it and have been doing it, know that we're consistent and consistently good at what we do, and they say, okay, these guys are for real. Let's make an offer to them for anime. That's what you want. That's the situation you want to be in. You want to be in that situation, but that doesn't come until you prove that you're good at something. And you're not getting an anime because you're good at ideas for anime. You get an anime because either you have spent a decade learning how to make animations and working on really big cartoons, or because you've got a concept and a series that already has a fan base. We will announce our anime when it's appropriate. Let's see. Are we getting any updates on the webcomic game or the Saturday A.M. app anytime soon? We hope so. We got some stuff that's building for it. We got some stuff we were just talking about the other day. So we hope so. That's all I can say right now. Ink Slicer says, do you think it's disheartening to see when creators are using sites like Saturday A.M. and other sites as their crutch to fame in their eyes, and they get upset and angry when they're denied? Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not disheartening. I mean, it's life. Folks, I'm 44 years old. I'm older. I'm probably 20 years older, if not more, than just about everybody on this chat. So, you know, I mean, I've had a career. I've lived around the world. There's nothing that surprises me. That's why I'm always so, you know, that's why, again, I have no problem, you know, talking very directly with you guys, because I respect both my background and my challenges as a Black man. I respect those enough, and I respect you guys enough to not try to make something seem different than what it actually is. So I talk very directly with you guys. Again, my counterparts in other companies don't, and I'm sure they also, you know, look at me with some disdain because I'm so open and sometimes critical in my analysis of things that are happening. But I'm just talking truthfully about what I know. So it doesn't dishearten me to see creators who get disappointed with Saturday because what they think and what we know are two different things. That's the problem with the internet. That's why I do shows like this, because I feel like if I can impart a little bit of experience and wisdom, and at least and if at least two of you take it, well, then that's two less people that have to go out there and do something that's inappropriate or do something that's crazy or act out in ways that are potentially dangerous, all because they have lived in a bubble and have a fantasy about what really goes on. As I said, you know, in these last couple of minutes, you know, Saturday A.M. is very specific in how we operate. You know, we're not a club. We're not publishing everybody. We know we're looking for a particular type of content. We're looking for a particular type of creators. And if you don't, and it's getting harder and harder every year because the talent level that we possess gets better and the creators who are coming to us are stronger. And so it gets worse every year, because if you're someone who's discovered Saturday A.M. and it's everything you've ever asked for, you know, this is the thing about Saturday A.M. that I think does not get enough respect is that Saturday A.M. is not a new idea. Everybody has had this idea. Anyone who's liked manga has had the idea of like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could create something like Shonen Jump, but instead of it being all Japanese and all spiky hair characters, it was like more diverse or interesting, or feature people from my country or from my neighborhood or from my family and friends. It was that type of series. And I had lots of people like that who wanted to create the same thing. Wouldn't it be cool if I could do that? This is not new. The difference is that we did it first and we've done it consistently and that we're still here. That's what's different. That's the part that I think frustrates so many people, because they see it and they're like, well, shit, you know, what makes them think they're so special? Nothing. It's just that we did it first and we're still here. That's it. That's the secret sauce. We had the same idea as everyone else. We were realistic about what we could do. We focused on doing a good job, and then we stuck with it. All of the setbacks we experienced, all the money issues, all of the ego issues, all of the technical issues, we dealt with all of them, and we're still here. So I'm not disheartened to see young creators think of Saturday A.M. as something and then get disillusioned later, because that's life. That happens. But again, the only part where I get frustrated is when someone lies. And that's where I always have an issue with, whether it's a wannabe competitor of ours or it's a young creator. Don't lie. That's my simple rule. Particularly when it comes to Saturday A.M., don't lie. You know, I've got videos who've been on YouTube and videos on Facebook and various places, Instagram, where I'm always very open. I'm as one of the most transparent CEOs out there. The good, the bad, the ugly, I express it all. And so the fact that I'm so free with information, when you then say, oh, well, they said this, but it actually was this, that's no one's stupidity but yours. But you're trying to suggest that we somehow misled you. I take great umbrage at that, because we're as open as anyone can be, far more open than most other companies. So again, I think, it's not an issue to us that people want to take pot shots at Saturday A.M. That happens. Yes, most of the people who take pot shots at Saturday A.M. are people who tried to join Saturday A.M. for one reason or another. We said no, and then they've made it their lifeblood to downvote our YouTube videos. And it's like, again, you can see, we get hundreds of views, thousands of views. We get 3 or 4 people, 5 people who dislike it, and it's always the same people we know. But but at the end of the day, to me, a black man is very inconsequential, because it's kind of like racism, modern racism. The thing that the part that is disheartening about it is that racism works today because what happens is that the people who want to suppress minority or women or what have you, they have to work overtime to do it, right? They have to write laws. They have to do certain things. They won't just come out and call you a bad word or slander. They won't just come out and assault you physically, even though we're starting to see more of that now. No, what they'll do is they'll make sure you don't get a line of credit. They'll make sure you don't get the job you want. They'll make sure that if they screw up in the job, they'll blame it on you. They'll do all sorts of things systemically that suppress your ability to succeed. And when I look at some of the things that people try to do with Saturday A.M., yeah, I think that part is kind of disheartening. If you dislike us, if you don't like our stance on diversity, if you don't like the commitment that we have towards storytelling and work ethic, if you don't like me being very blunt, if you don't like the fact that we said we didn't like your title, then the way you get even, the way that you kind of show us that we're wrong, is to create a really good comic and to make it really successful. That's how you do it. But when you then take a campaign to disenfranchise us by trying to tell people that we're not that great, or trying to take our creators and tell them not to work with us, that's like racism. That's like systemic racism. You're working harder to prevent us from succeeding than you are in trying to help yourself. There's a sickness in that. There's a sadness to that. And so that part is disheartening. Yeah. Savion Abrams says, I've heard you say that if you're not Japanese, then you shouldn't have main characters with Japanese names. Right. And yes. And then you talk about Apple Black. Yeah. So 2 things here. One is, I've said this to White. So White will tell you, I've said this to White, that someone who has his talent level and is of African descent, he's from Nigeria, should be telling stories and featuring characters that traditionally wouldn't be shown, right? I mean, it was only recently we got a big Hollywood movie that featured a mostly black cast and took place in Africa. So, yeah, I mean, I've said this to White. I mean, I mean, you're not saying anything new. I've said this to White. I've been very blunt with White that I think he should be doing this. And to his credit, he has added things in with Apple Black that I don't think people give credit. He has a lot of African ideas in Apple Black in terms of some of the mythology and some of the characters. He's got a character who wears a hijab. No manga's got that going on right now. No shonen manga's got that going on in Japan. He's got characters who do come from different ethnic backgrounds. And he just created Bikasi. So while I get the idea that, okay, well, White's done it, so that's not actually right. Number one, I have talked to White about this. White has made some iterations to his work that are more conducive to a diverse work, and I think he deserves credit for that. But number two is that doesn't change anything that I made the point of. My question to Savion or anyone else is, if you are not Japanese, why are you trying to tell a Japanese story? That's the part that I find extraordinary with this discussion, is I find more young people of color trying to argue why they have to tell stories that do not feature people of color, as opposed to why they can't just tell a fake made-up story that feature characters that they themselves understand because they themselves live that life. I think the part here that's sad, and this is disheartening to whoever asked about disheartening ink slicer. This is the part that's disheartening, is that you got young people of color who actually debate this, and it's sad because there is no greater self-hate than that. And again, this is me being blunt, but you do not like yourself when you can look at manga and say to yourself, well, I want to create something that's completely unlike me. We're not talking about, creating characters that have never been seen before. If you're white and you're creating a black character or a Latino character, something like that, that's kind of interesting. But when you're creating manga and you know that manga doesn't have a great track record for diversity, and you yourself are not Japanese, and you're basing a story in Japan, a place you maybe have never been to, and you're making it be characters' names. By the way, most of the character names, by the way, also are horribly calculated, because some of the names are really bad. They're like last names that you guys are trying to make them be first names. And I'm not talking about the traditional cultural way that Japanese say names. So there's all sorts of stuff that just goes on with how some young people are doing this. Again, it's not being done for any reason other than the fact that you think that some fake made up story in a manga style cannot feature characters who look different. And I'm saying to you that there is a problem when you have that mentality. There is a problem with anime manga that it would make you think that. So don't look for excuses as to, well, White's doing this. I said the story a long time ago. Just because someone did doesn't mean that you can do it. And you can do anything you want to, but don't think that we're going to give you credit for it. Focus on telling stories that you know, that you understand. That's what diversity means. It doesn't mean black. It doesn't mean Latino. It doesn't mean Asian. It means fat. It means skinny. It means taking place in Nebraska, taking place in Finland, taking place in Scotland, taking place in Buenos Aires, taking place in Lagos. It just means taking place in an area that you know, and so you can bring some new ideas, some new storytelling that comes from that. But I'll say again, there's nothing more disheartening than young people of color trying to argue why this is an issue, because that's a problem. Like, you honestly don't see that there's a lack of diversity in that manga and anime. Like, you're okay with the fact that there are just no diverse characters, and that a character who may look like you doesn't even exist in fiction. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm not gonna lie, it's a tough one. Let's see here. Mika Judah says, why is the logo a foot? Because when we created the company My Footprint, the idea was about, it was a long story. I won't go into it, but anyway, it was a long story. There is a reason to it. I'll just put it like that. So Saito Karaku, let me stop you right there. So Saito Karaku is, yeah, and I see Ink Slicer helped him out there. Again, and I love this. Saito Karaku, I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you've got that excitement. I love the fact that you're excited. Again, I want people to understand, even though I'm very blunt and very direct, and I don't necessarily bullshit around, doesn't mean that I don't love. I was a kid. I grew up with this stuff long before a lot of you kids even were born. So don't get it twisted. I love anime manga. I love the excitement that you guys have. I love it. I love it a lot when it's our stuff, but I love it. I love it. I can sit here and talk about Golden Kamui and talk about Clock Striker and talk about Naruto and Boruto. I can talk about this stuff with you right now for hours. I love it. But this is a business. We're trying to make it a successful business for our creators. We have an obligation for our creators to try to make this successful. So what that means is that this isn't a club. And so, yeah, you know, getting that excited, you're like, okay, let me tell you about my story. That doesn't fly because we don't have the time to do that. Save it for Summer of Manga. And by the way, this is how you know that you're not ready for it, is when the idea of saving it for Summer of Manga and having to type all it out and having to prepare it, make sure it reads well, that it's not got horrible spelling errors, that the grammar's right. The idea that you have to sit and do all of that, if that frustrates you, you're not ready. You're the fanboy or the fangirl that I said earlier. And that's okay. That's okay. There's a great line from one of my favorite comedians, which is a guy named Bill Maher. He's got a great line. He says, you know, we can't, you know, when you hear this whole thing about, you know, I want to uplift everybody. Republicans, I'm not a Republican. Republicans say, you know, we don't want government regulation. We want to uplift everybody. And they have this talking point that's ridiculous. But folks, someone's got to serve you food. I don't care if we're all rich, but someone's got to be serving the food. Someone's got to be cleaning off the table when you're done eating if you go to a restaurant. So we can't all be rich. The same thing is true for creating comics, folks. We can't all create comics. We can't all create the comics that we enjoy. We can't all create the comics that become the next anime. We can't all do it. Somebody's got to be the fan. Somebody has to be the fan. And if that's you, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We all started as fans. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no crime in that. But this is not the scenario. And when you see stuff like this, that's when you know that you're trending in the realm of fanboy or fangirl. Because if the idea of trying to sell us professionally on your idea sounds like too much work and not fun, then you're not really trying to create a comic book. You just want to do something that you can talk about. And that's great, but that's not what Saturday A.M. is. A lot of our competitors are like that, so you can definitely hook up with those guys on that. Let's see here. Gregor Mura says, how much control do the artists have? Artists own, every artist at Saturday A.M., unless they're doing work specifically for us, owns their own property. So that's that. Do we influence the story? Of course. We have editors and we have data, and so of course we influence the story. That's ridiculous. I mean, look, if you're successful, if you're white manga, I don't think I've talked to white manga except for the part about diversity. I don't think I've talked to him about a story ever, because he's successful and he does a great job with it. There are other creators that I've talked with, people who also have big fan bases, like Andrea Borsa Saigami. She and I've talked, you know, sometimes at length about things that she can work on her next volume. So, you know, we're gonna if we feel like you need it, we're gonna try to influence it. Of course, that we're not a publisher if we don't. If a story is submitted on a Summer of Manga but the tone feels more seinen than shonen, will it be rejected at the moment? No, I mean, we're going to obviously look, as I said earlier, here's the thing, if you are submitting a seinen, but your art looks like you're submitting something for a preschooler, unless there's a particular style to it that looks like it works, then it doesn't matter what your content's meant to be. We're not going to choose it regardless. So the key thing here, as I've said before, is to worry less about all these things that are irrelevant. What the story is what matters. What your talent is what matters. Beyond that, where it goes, what we think about it, how well it does, that you can't control. So just control the parts you can. The story, making sure you got a good story, and that you're telling the story right, and that you've got good artwork, that you're talented. That's all that matters. That's all you can control. DeviantArt is an acceptable portfolio, absolutely. Let's see here. Can we get some more live streams with David Yoon? Yes, David Yoon is coming. He's in Korea right now. I thought the one with Jay Oden did very well. I was very happy with the one that Jay Oden did. Let's see here. Have we ever tried to start a Saturday A.M. Amino? No, we've not. No, we've not. By the way, what is your IGTV schedule? The IGTV, we don't have no schedule. So just basically, if you go to IGTV, you'll find it. Just go there. And if you follow us or subscribe to Saturday A.M., it's free, obviously, on Instagram. Subscribe to us, and every time we do a new episode, it'll update. Right now, we're just doing them when we get the chance. Right now, we got a podcast We have these YouTube shows we do. We have Instagram TV, and then we're still producing 2 magazines. We got some books coming out. We've got convention we're going to. You know, we got a lot on our plate, man. We got a lot on our plate. So I think that is it. So I know that I think that's it. So yeah, that's all we got. I'm just gonna do a double check on Instagram real quickly, see if there's anything popped up there, and then we will wrap it up. And I want to thank you guys for being a part of all of this. That's great. Let's see here. Okay, so check the last one here. Okay. All right, so I think that's it, folks. So, folks, again, we're really appreciate the support you guys have given us. Again, Summer of Manga is happening right now. So if you guys want to have a chance to enter the final Summer of Manga for this year, again, we were looking for content to go into issues 91, 92, and 93. So for Saturday A.M. So these are Shonen. That's a Shonen magazine. The content that we really are, the content we're really looking for, we hope, is sports. We'd love to see more romance, comedy, thrillers like Death Note, things like that. We'd love to see stuff like that. We got plenty of battle manga, Clock Striker, Apple Blacks. You know, we got plenty of that stuff. So, you know, we'd like to see more diverse content. Likewise, for Saturday PM, that will appear in issue number 4. So you have more time. If we choose your content for Saturday PM, you'll have more time to produce it, because that issue won't come out. Issue 4 won't happen until October. It'll be our Halloween issue. And so therefore, obviously, if you've got a good horror story, a short story, that will really work. But there's other stuff as well you can look at. So we'll try to squeeze in as much as we can with it. But the key things there is that, you know, obviously more mature content, a thriller, crime-oriented, a harem, you know, the man chasing women or women chasing a man, you know, kind of sex comedy. You know, we're down for those things. But again, for Saturday PM, you have to be age 20, number one. You have to have talent. You have to produce a webcomic or something before. Previously, we're just, you know, Saturday PM is too unique of a magazine for us to try to accommodate young creators who've never really done this before and who are not at the talent level they have to be at. So, so that is that. If you want to do so, again, you can check it out at this website, www.saturday-am.com/summermanga18. I hope you'll go there, peek around, see what we're asking for, look at all the rules. Do not fill it out now. Take your time. You got a week. You got 1 week. So take your time. You know, you got a couple of days, you know, look at it, maybe download a couple of our free issues that we've got. You'll see the links for them on this page. But check it out. See if you can understand what we're looking for. See if you've got a really good idea. Then, you know, put together the idea in a formal way so that it reads really nicely and it doesn't have a lot of grammar mistakes or spell mistakes. And then when you're ready, submit it. And if that all works, then we'll be in touch. And hopefully you can make it into issue 91 to 93 or issue number 4 of Saturday PM. That's all I got, folks. Issue 91 of Saturday AM with Massive Multiplayer World of Ghosts will appear later this summer, around the first full week of August. And then issue 3 of Saturday PM should be appearing hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I hope. That's all I've got, folks. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to chat with us. We really, really appreciate it. You can get more info at www.saturday-am.com. One last question I see just popped up here. I'll address it real quickly and then I'm out. And that is, in the Summer of Manga, it is asked that if one has a webcomic to show, does it have to be the same comic as the pitch? No, it doesn't. We just want to know that you've got examples of your artwork. That's all we care about. If you've got examples of your artwork that we can see, that's great. Because we want to see, the reason we want to see a webcomic is because, you know, one of the problems that when we get when people submit content to us for Summer of Manga, they link us to their Instagram page. Their Instagram page, if it's not full, first of all, if it's not private, a lot of times it's private, and if it's private, we just delete it immediately. But if it's not private, if it's public, then the next thing we run into is that we can't find your artwork because it's got so many pictures of the person, you know, trying to do the dab or trying to look cool in front of the mirror or trying to, you know, do something wacky with their friends. And that's great. That's, you know, hey, take pictures with you and your friends and your family, immortalize your life, but don't give us that profile if that's what you want us to use to evaluate your artwork. Because if we don't see a lot of artwork, we're just hitting delete and you're getting rejected. The last thing, though, and the reason why we say webcomic is that if you've done a webcomic, the other thing we don't want to see on your Instagram profile is a bunch of pictures of like illustrations. We want to see, you know, panels. We want to see a panel where if someone is, you know, jumping or running or something's got backgrounds. We want to see that you can actually draw a comic page. And the only way to really see that is if you've had a webcomic. So if you've got that, then we can see it. If not, then we can't. And so that's what we try to look for. And that's what we're hoping that we can see. So to answer the question, yes, if you've done a webcomic, we're not evaluating the webcomic. We don't care if the webcomic's good or not. We just want to evaluate your artwork. We want to see that you've actually got the ability to create comic pages and that you try to do something like this before. That's what we care about. So that is it. I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to this episode of Pub Talk. We will have our next episode of Pub Talk in August because it's a once a month show. We'll touch on more things then. Whatever news has happened, we'll talk about it. Our Kickstarter will be happening by then, so I hope you guys will support our Kickstarter. Again, we didn't tell you what it was tonight. We will talk about that at some point in the near future, very soon, and we hope you guys will support it. On behalf of everyone at Saturday A.M, all of our amazing creators, all of our amazing staff, the fans who've been with us since day one, the fans who are loyal to us today, I want to thank you guys. We really appreciate the ability to try to impart some of our ideas. Doesn't mean that you have to follow them. Doesn't mean that what we think is right. It works for us, and that's what we're focused on. But we just want to see you be inspired, hopefully, by the idea that you matter, that your voice matters, that your ideas for comic books matter, that the idea of seeing, you know, someone who maybe comes from New Orleans and has ideas that are based in that culture, or someone who comes from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You know, the idea that you're not from LA, that you're not from New York, that your parents aren't rich, that you can be any person who can really dream and have, you know, have an idea, work hard at developing an idea, and then have an opportunity to project that idea, to get that idea out there, whether it's through us or not. That's what we care about. That's why we do these shows. That's why we make Saturday AM as good as we can. That's why we make Saturday PM as strong as we can, because we want to inspire the next generation of great creators. And we hope that you guys appreciate that. And we appreciate the fact you guys even support us, listen to us, talk about us, share what we do to your friends and family. We appreciate it. The best way to support us, of course, is subscribe. It's just $5. Again, it's less than the price of a Happy Meal. It's less than the price of a Starbucks. So please, if you can do anything, do that. We really appreciate it. On behalf of everyone, again, folks, thank you. We will see you next time. Again, I'm your host, founder and publisher of Saturday A.M, Frederick Jones, and I am out. Take care, everybody.